Hey, welcome to the tech capital of the world. It's a beautiful day here in Kernersville, North Carolina. I'm Bobby Dacium, founder of Coder Foundry. Hey, Kevin, we're almost at 80,000 subs. What do you think about that?
I know, crazy, right?
So
Crazy.
we're
Yeah,
going
we're
to
a
get that
few. What are
plaque
we? A
eventually.
few hundred off. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
know.
that's kind of crazy.
Eventually.
I was looking at the number and I was like, wow, we're almost at 80K. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thank you to
Um,
everybody that subscribes. If you don't
yeah,
subscribe, subscribe.
give us a shot.
We would love
Let
that.
us entertain you for
We
Tuesdays
would
and
love that.
Thursdays and
We show up here every
sometimes
Tuesday.
on Wednesday.
Yeah, we show. Yeah, exactly. We show up every Tuesday, Thursday. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we show up on random
Yeah.
days when we're testing
Yep.
something. But yeah, we're
Yep.
here every Tuesday and Thursday, and a lot of you guys keep coming back. That's awesome.
Yep.
It could be your first time here. I tweeted it out today, so maybe there's some new people here too. Love seeing new people.
Yeah.
We spend an hour here every Tuesday and Thursday, basically answering people's questions about breaking into web dev.
Yeah, and talking about things that are on our minds,
Exactly.
like, just
Exactly.
our water
We always start
cooler
out with a
talk,
few
so-
little things just to get us loose for the questions.
Yeah.
If you do have questions, throw them in chat. I will queue them
Throw 'em
up
in
in the
chat.
meantime.
Yeah.
And I will get to them. So yeah. Look, Ridgeway said 80K subs, almost a small city. Yeah, maybe.
Almost.
I don't know how many people are in the town of Kernersville. I'm guessing more than that,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. Oh, maybe that's a goal. We need to hit the amount of.
No,
people
we're
in
bigger than
Kernersville.
we're bigger than Kernersville. So like I think there's 35,000 or
Is
something
that?
like that. in
Wow,
Kernersville.
we're double the size of Kernersville. That's pretty awesome. How cool is that?
I mean, we do live in the larger triad, which has more, So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want people to think that we have like one stoplight and a McDonald's, but there's more stuff than here than that.
Yeah. Tech
So we
capital
actually
of the
have two
world.
McDonald's. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Tech capital of the world. So of course there is. You know. Let's talk about a couple things first before we get going, because a couple of news stories from today that I found kind of interesting that we'll take a look at. So I know you saw this one because we talked about it before.
Yeah,
Amazon.
I'm getting my resume ready right now, Kevin. Just
Right.
thought I'd let you know.
More than doubled their max base pay to 350 from 160 it was before. So just so as a frame of reference for this, what happens is that these larger companies, Amazon included obviously, they have like a maximum salary you can earn. And then to earn above that, you generally earned bonuses and stock incentives.
Yeah.
Right, so that old amount was 160,000. So once you hit 160,000, you're kind of capped out, and then you get salary, you get bonuses and extra on top of that yearly. So now they've more than doubled that, 350K base salary max. Kind of crazy. So if you were earning 160 before, maybe now you do get a bump to that. I don't know. I don't know how it works internally.
I don't know how it works, but like,
but they're in the middle of their.
Good.
It's crazy, right? So should you get into tech? Work at Amazon?
I think you should learn to code if you can learn to code. We always say that not everyone can do it, but if you could do it and you could change, this is going way north. And a lot of people think, there's going to be too many coders. I'm like, this tells you right away there ain't enough of them. And like, if there was too many coders, that would go down. They're like, I can get anybody I want. No, if someone quits, they can't find anybody.
Exactly. You read the story, the whole reason behind doing it is for retention. They literally say in this story, I did read this earlier, they basically said that, here you go, to help recruit top talent and retain existing employees. That is literally why they're doing it. Trust me, a company doesn't just do it out of the goodness of their own heart.
Like, no, they're not.
They're a business.
Not saying, hey, yes, we want to make more money. So like, and they need the tech people to build these things. So,
Exactly. So yeah, I thought that was a crazy interesting story. They're in the middle of like their things right now. So if you work in Amazon, I guess you should be expecting a pay bump if you don't get one. I don't know, send your manager the story.
Yeah, if you work at Amazon, you're watching the show Tech Rally. Like you could always super chat us like that bump, like 100K would be nice, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a cool advert for working in Amazon, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna super chat my bump to Coder Foundry.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, another story that I saw. I promise we'll get to questions here in a minute, but on the other end of this,
the opposite.
Peloton cut 2,800 jobs, which I think kind of interesting.
Yeah, so like we talked about this too. They're like a tech company. They're also a manufacturer. They build a bike. Yeah, they're definitely that, and they're also a content company. They produce workout videos and things like that. They hit this early on in the market, and just now people are coming in, and it's just really competitive for other bike manufacturers. Make a cheaper bike, the content, that kind of stuff like that, and then they've had a hard time branching into other types of workouts where Bowflex and these other companies have like kind of figured that out, like how do you make it? So now I think in the new Peloton bike, the monitor's twistable, so you can like get on the floor and work out with weights. It's not just a bike workout. So you can do yoga, you do all these other things, but it's all delivered on this massive Android tablet. So it's hard when that thing's just attached to the bike. So, it's kind of
because this is basically, I don't know how many employees they have that work on technology, but it has to be high. Obviously manufacturing is one thing, and I'm guessing they maybe outsource this obviously to some third-party company. They're probably not making it in-house. But the tech part, they're definitely doing in-house. The content creation, they're definitely doing in-house. They're basically a software company with a piece of hardware, right? And that's pretty much what it is.
Exactly.
So there's definitely people working on this. So I wonder how many of these jobs are. I wonder if they're across the board or whether they're in a certain sector there.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's not specific enough. It doesn't say.
So when you see news like this, what I want people to understand is don't be freaked out. Like, just because Peloton is cutting jobs doesn't mean the tech market's about to implode. It just means that there's probably Bowflex and NordicTrack and all these other companies that have really came in and say, oh, well, we can do that better. We see what you're doing there, Peloton. Let's do it better. And then it fragments the market, and then they, it's just called competition. So,
I think they've sort of done it to themselves by being super successful and having a premium product. It was actually easy for somebody to undercut them. Because it's not that novel to build the bike, to build the software stuff. And it's like other companies have come in and said, we can do that. And actually, you know what? We can do that cheaper. Peloton did cut the price of their bike, if you remember, earlier in the year by like, I think $800 or something. It went from
so the bike was around $2,500. So
they cut it to like $2,000, I think.
So people may not know this. Pre last year, pre-COVID, I was always into cycling a lot. And then I have like 3 bikes. So like I have a Peloton bike. I've got
real bikes.
I've got a road bike. I've got multiple bikes. So like I got a cross bike, a mountain bike, and a road bike, and a Peloton bike. So I have 4 bikes. And I would say that as an avid rider, when I got on the Peloton bike, the reason I bought it was because, man, most exercise bikes feel kind of janky and wobbly, and this felt like a solid premium road bike. But it's like when you're paying $2,800 for a bike, that's more than my road bike, until I put carbon fiber wheels on it. Then it's
then the wheels cost more than the Peloton.
So I think that it's really, really good. And so, but then other people came in and said, we're going to like loss lead the bike to sell the service. And I think that's where Peloton's going to have to adjust to see if they can like
I think so too. There. And I wonder how much of their money comes from the hardware sales versus the software sales. I have to imagine that they're not making as much on the hardware to basically get people into that subscription. It's $40 a month, I think, for like their package. It's like that adds up, right? So you got to think they're selling the hardware at a loss or at like cost or whatever, so they can get the subscription, because that makes sense. That's what everybody else does. That's why, and that's what Oculus does. That's what consoles do. The only reason you can buy an Xbox for $400 is because you're going to buy software afterwards.
Yeah. So what encourages me about this, and I just want to talk to the people out there that, hey, I'm learning to code, I'm doing this, I want to roll out a product or whatever. And we talked about this a little bit on another topic, but like when I see these major shakeups, for me, that's like, wow, that means that we could shake something up maybe. Maybe I could build something, whatever, so maybe I could. And a lot of people think because you see a Peloton, you're like, okay, it's done. I can't compete there. They're the big behemoth. And then like a year later, it's like, man, okay, they're cutting 2,800 people, and like they've got to really kind of earn their business back. And so like that gives us as coders opportunities. You want to roll a product out, you can take on Facebook, Amazon, Meta, whoever you can. Right. It changes all the time. And that's what we're saying with these screen shifts, Kevin. Like this is what happens. Like the big companies don't adapt to it quick enough. And the small nimble person comes in and says, oh, I've got a good idea, a way to do this, and bam, boom, they blow up overnight. Yeah. And so but you got to know how to code to do that. So that's why we kind of advocate for coding. So anyway, it should give you hope.
There you go.
Not really. Don't look at it as scary. Plus, you can just go to Amazon and make $350. It's like, wow, okay. That's like,
right.
That's like NFL lineman money, like it's like, wow, okay, that's, except you don't have a 5-year career, you have a 30-year career. It's really good. So
that's true. Yeah. Your longevity is definitely longer than a pro sports player.
If you tear your ACL while coding, you can actually go to work the next day. So, keep on typing, you know.
That's exactly. Worst case, you work remote, which you're probably doing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
One other quick thing to talk about, because I thought this was an interesting story. Yeah. Just a quick movie thing on the side. We'll do this real quick. But The Matrix was sued by the production company, Village Roadshow, for like, I guess the same Black Widow route. Like, it's the same thing that Scott Johansson sued the studio for that. It's like, hey, you released it on streaming and it sucked. Right. And they're saying the same thing here. They basically lost a bunch of money on Matrix Resurrections because it came out day one streaming on HBO Max. Like, my counter to that was like, no, it lost money because it's a bad movie. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it probably would have tanked in theaters anyway.
It would have tanked everywhere. You know, a good movie. So the Spider-Man movie that just came out, it's like
it made $1 billion because it was really good.
And it did well because it's a good movie, right? And you hear people say that's a great movie. The Matrix movie, I don't think I heard a single person say it's a good movie. No. Anybody here like it? Anybody really love it?
I mean, so the problem is like it really, when you come back and you watch it, you're like, it didn't break the ground on like anything visually. Like everything visually had been done before.
Been done.
Yeah. And so they didn't really break, and that's hard to do. But the first Matrix broke that mold visually and like set the standard for many sci-fi movies and special effects to come. They invented some things, and it's hard to do every single time. But then also, I don't know if people remember this, but like the Matrix, the plot for that movie was kept secret. It was like the whole campaign was, what is the Matrix? Yeah. You had no idea what this movie was about. And you walk into it blind, and now they make the same movie as Matrix 1, except worse. And
except worse, yeah.
You know, all of the surprises are gone. You know, even with some of the star power where they brought in, you know, like I like Jessica Henwick, you know, she was in like Iron Fist, really like what she's doing. Yeah. But you know, what's crazy is they did an interview about it. She had to choose between Matrix and Shang-Chi.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. You made a mistake.
She chose Matrix.
Like, she made a mistake.
Yeah, it's like, man, how can you not pick Marvel at this point? You know, like it's like, whatever.
You're right, because you're getting put in one Marvel movie at this point. You got to think like chances are you're gonna get put in another one. Like it's more of it's a longer term gig, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway,
first Matrix movie, great. New one, terrible.
Nah.
Sorry if you loved it. There's gonna be one guy out there that's like, I love that
Hugo
movie.
Weaving's not back. I mean, like, so the guy that played Hugo Weaving's part just wasn't as good. I mean, like, how do you replace Lawrence Fishburne? The other guy did good, but then they literally had lines and like, I can't be better than this guy, so I'm just gonna do it my way. And it's like, you're right, you can't and you shouldn't, and therefore they should give you a new name. You know, like
I think the one weird thing was just the way they no real spoilers, but the way they explain the Matrix within the Matrix movie is kind of I found that kind of interesting. The modal programming part was great. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, go watch the modal programming part. It's like right at the beginning. Like just watch the very beginning of it, and you took the modal part is great. If you know what a modal is, you'll be like, oh, that's not a modal.
That's not a modal.
They've given their own definition of a modal. They've created something else.
I mean, let's go to Bootstrap 5 documentation and look at Bootstrap modals. That's
if anything, you know what they should have called it? A container. Because it kind of works better as a container, right? Doesn't it?
Exactly. That's a container. It certainly is. You know, like it's a self-contained unit of
there's literally a word already for it. You don't have to repurpose one and get it wrong.
Yeah. It's kind of dumb.
But they did. So obviously who they're consulting on the tech side didn't quite get that right. But, you know, this is the Matrix. So, you know, you allow for some leeway, I guess. We're picking on like what they call a modal when they're like, you know, the whole world in their universe is fake. So
I remember I was watching it in the theaters like, that's not a modal. What are you talking about? Like it ruined my experience, you know, like it took me out of it right away. It's like, what are you doing? That's not a modal.
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm wondering, did you use the like data BS toggle on that one? Did you close it? I mean, what are you doing there, Morpheus?
Oh, that's great.
How'd you break out? So,
okay, let's do some questions. So, as I mentioned before, just to recap, we're here every Tuesday, Thursday. For those that are new here, come hang out anytime, same time, usually noon this time, Tuesdays, Thursdays. We talk about web dev stuff. If you have questions, throw them in chat, and we will queue them up and get to them. If you want to super chat, you can do that too. That will guarantee we answer your question. Otherwise, I will just go through them in order.
Or whenever ones you find interesting too.
Whatever ones I find interesting. If I find some uninteresting, I will skip them. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to guarantee an answer to anything unless you super chat it. If you super chat it, I'll guarantee we'll at least address it. Rich Ray said, Kanban boards used regularly in dev jobs. Is it very common or just a few places?
You know, I don't see it a whole lot, but I think some people use them, and then some people use them, but they're not used, if you know what I mean. Like, in other words, like the Kanban becomes like the afterthought of the meeting, and they just like add it onto it, an afterthought, you know, and like there's one out there, it's got all this stuff in it, but no one really looks at it. We just update it because we have to. So like, I don't really know. You'd have to talk to a lot of other people to see if they're using them. I think they're useful. We use Trello here.
I use Trello all the time.
Yeah, we use it. And so our process is probably pretty good with Trello for planning content, what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, and it also keeps us remembering things. So we use it more like a to-do list or a note taker.
It's more like, we have this idea. Let's, yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of people use them, you know, but I think a Kanban also can be used for your job search. So you could like keep track of the things that you've looked at, the things you've applied for, the follow-up, and then the landing, the roles, and those kind of things. If you do that, I think if you follow a process for looking for a job, you know, a Trello board or a Kanban board like works really well.
Yeah, it's something we've definitely talked about before. When you're on the job search, yes, 100%, you should be using one. To do exactly like you said, to follow something all the way through to a yes or a no. So we talk about people's follow-up games in the hunting for a job being kind of weak often. Like you'll blindly send out your resume, and it's like, I've sent out 10,000 resumes. It's like, yeah, did you call any of them? Did you try and follow up any of them? Like, no.
Exactly.
Okay, that Trello board time. Like
Trello board time. You got to do your follow-up. Yeah. So we're walking people through that process, and you know, we've placed like 4 students in the last like 7 days. So like, if they just follow the process, you know, it makes the process of applying multiple times easier, better. You have less emotional ups and downs, you know, because you're just going through this process of working the system. And then if you do that, you'll get a job. It's not rocket science. So most people have weak follow-up game.
Yep.
All right.
Do we have a roadmap for becoming a .NET developer?
Yeah, I think, you know, we just go to learn.coder Foundry. And so basically, I've wrote the book on this too. Like, you know, like you go there and you go to buy the book or whatever. But basically, you have to learn somewhere. We think we're the best .NET learning platform on the planet, but you can go somewhere else. Yeah. And then you build a portfolio, and then you show that portfolio of projects to people, and then you learn the top 30 interview questions in and around .NET. And if you can talk about those and answer those questions with code, you'll be a .NET developer, you know. But there is a learning process where you got to learn how to write some .NET projects. So we think ASP.NET MVC is the good one to learn right now. It could be Blazor in the future, could be .NET MAU in the future, but right now we think it's ASP.NET MVC. Definitely Web API is another one that you could build in and around, build a career around for sure. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. Love the name. Cats are aliens. I have a cat.
How do you get designs? So can we push the Canva logo? Can we push Canva? Can we push the link down in there in chat?
No, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's this project we use in and around the Code Foundry Virtual Bootcamp where everyone has to style their own stuff. And so like we've used Looka and Canva, both of them work really well. And we get our students to build logos for each one of their personal projects. We think that's necessary. That's what you should do. We think you should brand yourself as well. So like, I think a lot of those things that we do, and then our students are using Canva to do that. And it's been really, really cool. Works really well, pretty cheap to do. I mean, they have free and paid options, and this isn't a Canva commercial. It's just, that's how we do it.
Yep.
So, and he'll put a link down there if you want to follow the link down.
Also,
Look is another one.
Yeah, I don't have. The other thing is using templates as well. Definitely don't be like theme forest.
Theme forest is another thing if you just want to grab a template and put something together. But if you need a logo or something like that, that's where Canva and Looker come in.
Yeah, but if you're looking for like a template for something, theme forest is definitely kind of cool. There's a bunch of stuff there, and there's a bunch of places you can go get these for. But like just using a template, don't be afraid to use a template either. Don't think it's cheating or anything crazy like that. It's not. There's there's a bunch of stuff here, $16, $12. There's whatever you want. If you're gonna do a bootstrap theme, there's a bunch of bootstrap stuff here. Bootstrap templates, $6 for this one. I've not looked at it. It's an admin and dashboard template. Yeah, there's tons of stuff here. Tons and tons and tons of stuff.
Cool. So I hope that helps.
Another place to go look.
Cats are aliens.
Cats are aliens. I will agree. I think my cat. Go. Kevin wants to know, does a self-paced course cover database design and relational database concepts?
Yeah, so we have to build models. We're in MVC, we're doing model view controller. So like the part of the database design part is in the model. So we do model first development. We talk about how to build those models out and how to get the relationships working, and then how to publish that to a database like Postgres, which then turns that into SQL tables. So that's kind of how we do it. So yeah, we go over the models and how to make them and what you think about.
Okay.
So I hope that helps, Kevin.
Yeah,
thanks for the question.
Yeah, Connie wants to know, will there be a live this Friday for the bootcamp? Yeah, we do need to get back to those. We haven't done those.
Yeah, we do. We went on vacation a little bit, so like, yeah. We'll get back to that this Friday.
Well, there's not one plan for this Friday, so I'm not going to guarantee there will be. But if there may be, we will get back to that for sure.
Yeah.
We have to go back to. We were partway through something, so we need to go back to that. So yeah, we do need to look at that. Yeah, we've been tied up with some other things. Well, I like this question. Why don't you let why don't you let your code camp build their own projects?
Oh, interesting.
I like that question because we don't.
Yeah, we don't. Because here's what we think. And number one, you can build your own projects. Okay, so post bootcamp, you can build your own project. Right? So it's not that you can't. It's just that during the projects or during the bootcamp, we have specific projects that cover specific features that we want to teach you how to do. Therefore, you go do it. Second, because of that, we can run you through the content faster because we have one project we're trying to discuss and not trying to troubleshoot everyone's project idea during the bootcamp. Second, the projects, when you're left to your own, most of the time, the projects come across as weak, uninspired, and not going to move the needle in interview. So like our projects are picked out and say, hey, if you show this project, this will help you during the interview process. We're trying to get you a job. So that's why we say that passion projects typically aren't well received because, if you're just learning to code, you end up building something that's like something else or something that's very lacking in features. But if you follow what we say in our advice, you're like, we're going to build a feature-rich business application that moves the needle with the interview process, and that's why we do it. We want you to get a job. Now, what you can do is you leave the bootcamp, build your own thing. You should have enough knowledge to build your own project after that. So, you can do both.
Yep. Let's do a follow-up question too, because he has another question as well. So why is the first week dedicated to building a resume? It's not dedicated to building a resume, it's dedicated to building a portfolio, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We talk about that early on. Why did we talk about that?
It's not the resume, it's the portfolio that we build in the first week because we're starting off with Bootstrap and we're starting off with HTML and CSS concepts. Hey, what's a better way to do it? Second, we think everyone should have a portfolio. And like, how are you going to showcase your projects if you don't have a portfolio? So we're building a portfolio in week 1 and week 2. Then we're building a bunch of JavaScript projects. Then we're moving on to C#. And so we're gradually adding complete finished work to this portfolio during the 12 weeks. So that's kind of why we do it. We actually have a really lengthy how to get the most out of this course video on self-paced, and I do it every day. The first day they get in there, like why our method works. What is the method to our madness? Why do we do all of this stuff? So if you want to watch that video in the self-paced course, or if you happen to come to the boot camp, I always teach that on the very first day. But we build that because we think the portfolio is the most important thing that you can build. Because without that, you don't have proof of work. And we think proof of work allows you to get a job as a developer. And the best way to do that is with the portfolio. So
there you go. Thanks for questions, Program Rex.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Deontay the Giant says, will I be able to learn .NET using a Mac computer?
Yeah, you can. If you're going to take our course, we're advocating for parallels right now, which means M1's kind of out at this point. I'd have to go check parallel. I haven't looked in weeks. But if you're on an Intel-based Mac,
all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Now, can you run Visual Studio Mac and just run on the Mac side? You can, but you've got to translate between whatever the gap is between the tooling and what we're doing, and we're not going to support that in the self-paced course or in the live bootcamp. So if you're in the live bootcamp, you need to be running Windows either on Parallels or on a Windows machine. But you can. I run a Mac every day. That's what I'm using. But I'm running Parallels. I don't have an M1. I've got an Intel-based Mac.
There's an Intel-based Mac too. Yeah, there's some issues with the M1 stuff still to do with the ARM. You got to run the ARM version of Windows, and there's still some issues there. That hasn't quite fleshed itself out yet that I've seen. It will. But if you're going to buy a brand new one, just know that there are some issues right now, some things to kind of work through.
Yep. Hope that helps.
Okay. Let's see. Jack Bryan wants to know, is it possible as a self-taught developer to get a software engineer job in the US without a CS degree? This is coming from somebody who is overseas too, by the way, to clarify that in another
he is overseas.
He is overseas.
So number one, yes, but I don't know what your situation is to get here in the US. So let's look at like remote jobs. What we're seeing, we're looking for students in remote work. And this is going to like anger some people, and they're like, why? I'm like, I don't control these decisions. But in general, what we're seeing is when people are saying remote here in the US, it typically means that you're inside the US already. So there's taxes, there's all these other things that's going on. And second, they usually, when they say remote, we'd like you to be on the same time zone that we're in. So like a lot of times it's saying, okay, I want you remote, but you must be on the East Coast of the US, or I want you remote, you must be in the Midwest, or I want you remote, you must be on the West Coast. We're seeing that a lot, then there's some weird taxes and things like that going on. We're saying we only want you in these states because we only operate in these states, and they don't want to file taxes in every individual state. So they'll tell you what states you must reside in for us to pay you. So there's a lot of things in there, but are people getting jobs in the US without a CS degree? 100%. Yes, you don't need a CS degree to do that. I mean, like it's actually more unlikely that they have a CS degree than they don't. So that means that most people, and I say it's approaching 90%, even with CS degrees, are self-taught, which means that you learn some stuff in college, but now everything you know since then is something you've taught yourself. And so most developers are self-taught once they move further in their career versus the first year. So the first year, you're trading on whatever you learned in college or boot camp or whatever. But after that, hey man, if you want to learn .NET 7, guess what you're doing? You're, watching a YouTube video, teaching yourself how to do it. So I do it.
Here's Jack's fear look. Well, the fear is someone shows up for the interview and they have the same skill set as me, except they also have a CS degree. Why would the company choose to hire me and not them?
Well, let me ask you a question. And this is what goes into into what our method is. So you're right. So if all things being equal, they may pick the CS degree over you. Your job's not to make it equal. So What can you do to oversell against that CS degree, which is build a portfolio of projects, have proof of work. And then when you say, okay, this guy has a CS degree, but he has no portfolio, you have a portfolio of work and you can talk about it. Who are they going to hire? The person with proof of work. Now, there are some companies that we run into say, hey, we only hired CS grads or only people with four-year degrees. But I have seen this specifically since this year, since January, more and more companies are saying, we want to hire a bootcamp grad. Why is that? It's because there's typically more practical skills ready to go in the market right now than a CS grad. So we're seeing that shift happen in the marketplace. Now, is it 80% of the job saying I only want bootcamp grads? No, but what it's telling you is the perception is changing of like how you learn no longer matters, especially if you have a portfolio of projects. You can show them what you can do. And if you can show them what you can do, you can overperform. I would not even say overperform. You can beat out what you would think is a CS grad. So don't be afraid of that. If you don't have a CS degree, you can't change it anyway. So roll with what you got. You know, I tell people all the time, like, well, what if I'm of this race? It doesn't matter. You can't change it. What if I'm too old? It doesn't matter. You can't change it. So you got to go with what you have. And the best way to overcome all of those things is with a portfolio of projects.
Exactly. We've seen a lot where people with CS degrees
all the time.
We've seen people with CS
come
degrees.
Here. We have one sitting in the cohort right now.
Because they don't have a portfolio.
Right, they're here to get the portfolio.
College doesn't. You don't get a portfolio at college at most of them. You really don't. It's not that practical. So you immediately have that kind of you have an upper hand on somebody if you have that portfolio that has a CS degree. But like Bobby said, there's going to be some companies who are just going to they're not even going to look at you because you don't have one, and that's on them.
Okay.
But we're seeing that change. Yeah, we're seeing that change a lot. We've seen it change since 2014, even since we started.
Yeah.
Like
I would tell you this,
and less every year.
Amazon's paying people $350 for a reason. If you can code and you really can code and you can deliver value for that company, you're gonna have a job in this market. Like you just are. Like there's not enough people to do this, especially at the high level. You know, so I think you definitely learn to code. Doesn't matter if you got a CS degree or not, unless you're willing to go back to school for 4 or 5 more years. And if it sounds like that's not in the cards for me, okay, you need to build a portfolio and then you can compete effectively and get a job. Hope that helps, Jack.
Okay, let's see. Felipe wants to know, would you recommend Blazor, or is it too new for a real project?
I don't think it's too new for a real project. No, not at all. I would definitely, you can do Blazor for sure. I ran on Twitter the other day of why Blazor wasn't accessible, and it's like,
really,
it's HTML. I mean, like, I don't understand. So like, Blazor isn't too new for a real project. It's fully supported by Microsoft. It's ready for real time. The tooling's there. Is there a learning curve to it? Yeah, just like anything else. Is it way cool? Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, so especially if you're comparing it to some of the complexities of some of the other JavaScript frameworks, it's pretty cool. So it's not too early for
it. Okay. I thought this question was funny. What program language would you think was used to design the Matrix? I mean, surely some low-level,
C# for sure,
metal,
right?
You think? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was all ones and zeros. I think. Hey, Alex is here. Thanks for the stream chat, Alex. I get a decent raise for studying this. Yes, Alex, definitely a collab anytime. Anytime
you want to do something, just hit Kevin up. We'll make it happen.
I want to do the portfolio reviews with you, actually, Alex. I want to have you come on and do portfolio reviews because it sells into your course, so I like that. But yeah, anytime. Yeah,
I'm sure we could debate the Matrix was written in JavaScript or it's written in Java or C#, C++, assembler.
It's got to be assembly, right? Got to be
Pascal.
Pascal, maybe. Yeah.
Delphi. It was written in Delphi.
That's funny.
It's
been around for a minute, so I don't know. Have they refactored it? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Ab says, hello, as a Java Spring boot dev, what concepts apart from security should I learn to improve my skills?
I don't know. I mean, like, so like if you're doing Spring MVC, I mean, you just need to build apps and that stuff. I mean, so just keep building apps and you're going to learn. Obviously,
you're going to know where your gaps are, right?
Yeah. So apart from security, sounds like you have a gap there. All right, learn how that's implemented. Second, obviously, SQL Database Design is another thing that a lot of people don't really kind of lean into early on in the career, and you can definitely learn about that. You also could learn more about the front end side of this. How does Bootstrap CSS and all those kind of things improve your skills there? So I think there's a lot of room for improvement in that kind of thing. So just pick an area that you think you're weak in and learn that.
Back to our Blazor question real quick. N17 here is working with a customer right now developing 2 existing products with Blazor. So there you go.
Nice.
That gives you real world.
Blazor server or Blazor client side Blazor? I'm just curious. Leave it in chat. Yeah.
Jay suggests QBasic.
Quick basic, yeah. It's quick basic.
Well, Scott says it was Fortran.
The matrix is built in Fortran. So
let's see.
Well, they're using modal, so definitely the front end was done in Bootstrap. So
a Bootstrap front end to the matrix. We'd all be wearing the same colored shirt.
Is it? They're always 21, everything in that dark.
We'd all be wearing that Bootstrap blue shirt if that was the case.
There's only one blue in the matrix, and one green. Success, BTN-success. So
there you go. We'd be talking funny like that too. We're talking Bootstrap. I think we've kind of talked about. Oh, well, maybe we haven't. We kind of have, but with regard to .NET development, should we learn MVC or Blazor or both?
I think right now we're teaching MVC because that is what's in the mainstream right now, and it is easily transferable to Web API, which I also think is something that we need to know. But in our bootcamp, we got 12 weeks. You can't teach everything. And then Blazor's on that other side. If I need to build a client-side only project, and I want to back that in with controllers on the back end, then knowing MVC and Web API helps you do that. And then you just learn in the front end of Blazor. So like today, I still say it's MVC. I still think that's the one to learn because it ties into everything else that's going forward. So, and then still a lot of companies are still cranking out what I call multi-page apps. Understand Blazor is a single page app architecture. MVC is a multi-page app. So where you have multiple pages, you don't have one page in Blazor. So.
Okay.
But yeah, eventually says, both.
Signing up for the self-paced course. After I'm finished, would I be considered a junior? How far do the project and the course take me regarding level? I want to know what jobs to apply for. Good question. Kevin, good question.
I think you should apply for .NET junior roles or .NET 1-year roles. We are seeing on our feed for our bootcamp grads, and that's in the in-person ones, we're posting those every single day. We're talking to a company today that's hiring 10 people that know .NET.
We've seen a lot of companies that are hiring multiples recently, haven't we?
Yeah, so now you have to relocate. And if you don't want to relocate, but like it doesn't matter. It just tells you that there is opportunities abound for someone that can build an MVC .NET application. So that's what you're going to apply for, a junior .NET role, 1-year experience. So that's what you're going to be looking for.
Okay.
Every single day we're seeing these opportunities come up.
Definitely. Chad, hey Chad, wants to know, should I have a separate portfolio for game dev, Unity, and .NET Blazor Maui?
I don't think so, Chad. I mean, I think you could build out a project section and show the different projects. And then in your About Me, you can say, hey, I'm a Unity and a .NET Blazor Maui. Now, what you want to highlight is the job that you want.
I think that's the key. Yep.
Yeah, so like what job do you want between those two?
Yeah.
So you're going to like, if you want to be a game dev, just really lean heavily into game dev. And then if you want to be a mobile dev with .NET Blazor Maui, business appy, then lean into that. It depends on what you want to do. I think, but you can definitely put both on there in case there is a job that comes up. There's like, man, I wish someone knew Unity and .NET, Blazor.
Right. You're like, I'm your guy. It's me.
I'm your guy. Yep. Chad can do it. So.
Exactly. Troy wants to know, will you guys have a project building an e-commerce app selling Foundry products?
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not on the roadmap yet, is it? We've kind of thought about this. It's on kind of the future idea to have an e-commerce app to build like an e-commerce app in the course.
Honestly, the reason I haven't done it is because if I was doing it right now for me, and that's just, I would probably lean into Shopify and say, this is kind of what you need to be doing. You don't really need to build this from scratch. Before, there weren't a lot of good choices, and it was a good project because a lot of people are trying to do this. But now, if you run into someone that's running a store, they're kind of running Shopify, or our friends down in Georgia, Connective, that have they have a Shopify competitor. So like those those types of companies are really moving the needle, and so like it's pretty amazing. So
yep. Okay, let's do Megan Lynn Rue, hey, says I finally got you on live. Cool, thanks for joining us. I'm assuming you've watched some of the other videos. That's awesome. I'm a CS student graduating this year. That's awesome. Congrats. Do you think I'll be able to get a job with no relevant work experience and no internship? I'll be 31 when I graduate. And there was also a follow-up too, so hold on.
Yeah, number one, like, yeah. What's our
internship at GitHub? So I have a GitHub with a bunch of projects that I can do to land an internship instead of being rejected.
So number one, Megan, I think you're thinking 31's too old. Like, I wish I was 31. So like, let's just put that out of the side. 31 is like perfect age. You're not old. Forget about that. All right. So just put that to the side and say your age is not going to be a factor whether you get hired or not. Okay. So they don't hire everyone that's 22 like you think. That's just not the case. 2, if you have projects, are they published, and can someone look at the published version of the project, or you rely on them to go to GitHub and clone a repo and get it working? If it's the latter, your success is going to be limited because it's easier for the recruiter to look at something that's already published and working. So get some of those published, build a portfolio to house these projects so they're I can click on a link and just go view it. If you want to see something that how we kind of do it, go to superdogevents.coderfoundry.com and you can look at what we would push for a very simple project and how we kind of like brand it up so that you can look and see how that works and show that. So we have a landing page here, and then we have a try it out function. So you can hit just try it out there. This is our app function right there. So it's a simple app. I'm using local storage, and you can add data and that kind of stuff. And then we have a code section in here, which we've just using something called Prism to show the code. We wrote this in JavaScript. And so this is kind of what we talk about, like give something to look at, something you can pitch, and then About Me just takes us to maybe your blog or your portfolio site or whatever. So that's kind of like what we're talking about. Get it published, make it functional, and get it working. You notice too here we branded up too. So go ahead and make a Megan Rue logo. If you look at the bottom here, we got our because there's stuff's in the way. Yeah, scroll it. Yeah. So scroll down the bottom, Kevin, and look at the footer there. Oh, you can't. Okay. Well, you notice that
full page.
Yeah. So okay. So we can look at our brandings on the bottom, our footer branded, and then we have our mark at the top. So and then we logofied every one of our projects, and that's what the other person was talking about. Hey, how do I get logos like this? What do I do? Canva, Looka, and then just build this thing out and show it to it, and you'll get a job. Second, you only need one yes. So 30 no's isn't bad. So just go through the process, create a Trello board, and just track your search. If you get rejected, don't take it personal. Just keep moving on. Just keep trying, and you should be able to do it.
Yeah, don't get disheartened by rejections. You could sort of have to embrace the rejection. Just know, go into it thinking, well, it's another one I'm going to get rejected from. Like if you have that,
and then you'll eventually get the yes, and then take the first yes you get. So
definitely take the first yes. Just so you know, here you go, Scott.
There you go, Scott. 50. Right. Exactly. You can do it. You can do it, Megan.
A friend coding after 30, literally in your age range. Like it's literally like he has his whole channel built on that. Paul, he literally switched in at like 31 or 32 or something, right? So he's now in his 40s. He's been doing it for a minute.
Yep. You can do it, Megan.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
And you have a computer science degree, which, hey, not everyone has those, so that's good too. So you have a lot of things in your corner. Just package it up and sell it.
Let's see, what is this question? Financial auditor. That's a very formal YouTube.
Wow. Okay.
What kind of early career work would we be doing as a .NET developer once we land our first job? More like the bug tracker, or like more simple project responsibilities at first?
This is one of those be all over the board.
Yeah,
but
this is one of those way open-ended questions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like all of the above plus.
All of the above. Doesn't matter whether they're paying you to. But in general, I think the easiest one to get into is like, put this way, if you've built the bug tracker from soup to nuts at Coder Foundry, It doesn't really get much more difficult than that, really, like as far as like complexity and things you're going to run into. That's kind of what you expect. I'm going to build some models, some views, some pages. Now you may have a site that's like huge, but it doesn't get more complex than that. You know, you're basically taking inputs, hitting the database, bringing stuff back. So that's what's cool about following patterns. Once you know the pattern, you can build a site of any size. But you can also get on a maintenance gig. And so the maintenance gig is, hey, I'm just fixing some stuff in an already established code base. That is actually more easier than building something from scratch, because you don't have to come up with the design. You don't have to like make these kind of decisions and architectural design decisions and the workflow and all that kind of stuff. So I think you go either way, but like if you get on a maintenance gig, that's not bad, you know. So you'll probably be assigned bugs and in a bug tracker of some sort, you know, and then you just fix them. Go to meetings every day or a week, and you know, carve out a career. It's not that hard. So cool. Hope that helps, financial auditor. That is a crazy YouTube name.
Okay, Gandavar wants to know, is it okay to copy awesome portfolio template built by others, like the ones reviewed in Web Developer Portfolio review videos?
Yes, copy them, and then put your own content in them. Don't copy the content.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe change a color here and there. It's a template, man. I mean, like the template's made to be used, and companies use templates too. So like, if they didn't, theme forests wouldn't exist if these things weren't being bought and sold and used. I mean, like,
yep.
So just check it out.
And you've talked about this before, like applications you've actually built that are at companies that people use all the time are built with a template.
Yeah.
You don't start from scratch.
Unify would be one of the templates we used quite a bit. So like, you know,
there you go.
So,
let's see. Fjordlist wants to know, have you heard about career up internships for developers? I haven't.
And I don't know if you can trust them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So here's how you can figure that out.
Yeah.
Will they pay you? So if they're not paying you and you're in the US, I'm not talking to them. So like we have people coming in here all the time to say, hey, we would like to hire your graduates. And then it comes out, well, you know, that we're going to not pay them for 6 months while we train them. And we're like, no, they've already been trained. So we don't bring those opportunities, I call that loosely, to our graduates. They just want you to work for free. I don't think that's fair. I think you should get paid at this point, always. So unless they're providing you training, you know, I mean, like, I don't know, but you're working on for pay projects during your training, you should be paid for that work. So if they're going to pay you, then yeah, you can trust them. Is it the best place in the world? I have no idea. So that's the main thing. Do you get paid?
I don't know anything about them.
That's why we're all doing this. And I don't think you shouldn't work for free unless it's for your mom or something, you know?
Quick question here. So if self-paced course uses Windows and they use PM Console, can we use VS Code and use .NET, EF, or CLI? Sure, but
yeah, it's just different. Like, so like we're using VS Code for the front end stuff. Once we get to the .NET MVC stuff, we are using Visual Studio. Just use Visual Studio Community Edition. That's what the industry uses. Just do that. So like, we're not teaching you how to like build these things from the command line. That's not what we're doing. Like, we're more focused on how do I use the design pattern to build stuff. So, you know, then you have to figure out how to do, some of it is from the PM console, like migrations. We're using it for some of that. But like when you're scaffolding views, that's going to be from the tool itself. Could you figure out how to do that from the CLI? Sure. Yeah. I mean, all of it can be done, I believe, but we don't do that. We use Visual Studio. Makes things faster and easier to do. It's just how we do it.
Kind of relates to that too. Why Windows-based curriculum versus open source?
I don't know what that means. So like, you have to use an operating system to do it.
Yeah.
So Visual Studio doesn't exist on Linux. So if you're thinking, why can't I do this on Linux? You can, I guess, if you build your own tooling. The tooling is on Windows and Mac OS. It is what it is. That's how it's done. That's how the industry does it. If you got a job doing it, that's how they're going to expect you to do it. So like, we're just training you how it's being done. So
we chose our entire stack based on literally the best opportunity to get a job.
Yeah.
That's how we chose everything. It's not.
Yeah. If you want to do open source to do something else and use other tooling, that's fine. That means that you're pursuing a different stack, a different set of jobs. And I get it if that's what you want to do, but like, actually .NET's open source anyway. I mean, so I don't even know what that means. So it's not a Windows-based curriculum. It means that the tooling runs on Windows and we're teaching it from Windows as the tooling. So, you know, it's not that .NET isn't open source, it is. I mean, but it's just get you a job. That's all we're trying to do.
Right. Hey, Megan had a follow-up question too. We'll jump back to this one. Do you think being a female will affect me getting a job in a negative way?
No.
No, we've
had very highly positive.
Yeah, we've had very successful.
You know,
I will tell you, every woman that's come to our bootcamp, I can't think of any haven't been successful. Yeah. It's like we had a run for a while where it was just like the first people hired out of the class were the ladies in the class. Like
so you're an advantage in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep.
So no, I think you're going to be fine.
Yep. Let's see, Retros.
I think here's the other thing too is like, here's what I want to tell Megan. Like these are things that we really can't change. So just put your best foot forward. And if the company doesn't hire you because you're a female, okay, you don't want to work there anyway.
They're not going to hire you anyway. Yeah, exactly.
But I promise you, they're hiring female people in these roles every day, all day. Just have a really positive attitude about, hey, I'm going to land. I'm going to do this. I've done my work. I've put in my effort. I've done my learning. I've got projects. I can prove that I can do it. You'll get a job. 100%. You're going to get one. So just think about it in a positive way instead of looking at all the things that could happen or go wrong and society doesn't hire women. Just forget about it. And you can't change it anyway. So just go through the process and you'll land.
There you go. Retro Rob says, I've been looking for an entry-level software position for over 9 months. I have a phone screen for a help desk position at a staffing company. Would you suggest considering this?
Yeah, because you can get paid. Yeah.
Would you consider it like is that a gateway job though to being a developer too though?
Depends on what they have at the company. So it's
could
not,
be. Yeah.
You know, but look, what I've told people all the time is that you need to be employed. So being employed is better than unemployed. Is it the perfect role? No. Can it lead to a coding role? Depends on the company, but like help desk position. And so I need you to figure out like how many technical interviews for coding did you go to? All right. So let's say you've been to 10 of those. You've been looking for 9 months and you got one per month or a couple in 1 month and you failed all of those technical interviews. What you need to do now, Retro, is like, all right, why did I fail? Like really break it down and say, what questions was I asked? What things are they asking me that I don't know in order to get this IT job or this development job? And so then you're saying, okay, I've got gaps in my education. I've got gaps in my learning. My portfolio's weak, whatever it is. You can overcome all of those while you're working this help desk gig. You know, like you can still do it on the part-time just like you did, but now you can eat and, you know, and that kind of stuff. So like this isn't looking backwards if you're working at a help desk job and say, hey, I'm going to help desk job transition into development. That's not a big deal. I mean, it's easier to do that than it is to transfer from like, hey, I was a bartender. I mean, like, you know, it's like, you know, and we've had people go from bartender to dev. So yeah, just get paid. I mean, you know, and then when you get placed by IT staffing company, guess what? Hey, they placed Rob before. Maybe you have a connection with a recruiter and now you can say, hey, what do I need to do to get a dev job? You know, say 6 months or 9 months from now. And they're say, man, it'd be really cool if you knew this, you know? And so focus on those top 30 questions of the stack you're interviewing for and learn those and pass a technical interview and make sure that your portfolio of projects is up to snuff. It's a lot of work in that, but I'm breaking it down to be, those are the simple steps. A lot of effort involved around that. So it's not easy, but the steps are pretty simple.
Okay, let's see. Matt says currently a CS senior at university. Awesome. I've many projects under my belt with the portfolio website. Awesome too. Well done. But I can't get any responses for entry-level jobs or internships. Do you have any tips?
Okay, so make sure, number one, do you have a LinkedIn account? And make sure the LinkedIn account has the keywords of the things you're looking for, okay? So how are you working to get jobs? So you're saying you're not getting responses. Are you just blindly applying? Do you follow up? Are you working with a recruiter? So work with a recruiter. make sure that there's not something wrong on your portfolio projects. Make sure that
you're not getting a soft no for some reason.
Yeah. So like, make sure there's no misspellings, mistakes. How does it look? Does it look good? So like those are all of the things that can get you a soft no when it's not currently doesn't look great. So, send that portfolio and like get it reviewed, see what someone thinks about it, and then look at your projects. Are your projects simple? Is it just purely like very simple to-do lists and tic-tac-toe and a Pokédex? Those don't move the needle well as solving a business problem. So maybe your projects need to be more complex. You need to branch out and try to build something a little bit more robust on your project. So,
yep. Hey, if you, Matt, if you join our Discord server, the link's down in the description below. If you're already on there, or if you're not, go join it and DM me your portfolio link. I'll take a look.
We'll look at it.
And I'll give you some feedback.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So I'm looking at one of Megan's responses here. She's saying that, thank you, I won't give up. I got a job. I bartended most of my life.
Oh, there we go.
I absolutely love coding. I use all my free time to get better. I'm going to give you some hints here. There's a lady that just landed probably in your same age range who was a bartender.
Yep.
I promise you. And like, she did it.
I'll tell you what too, your bartending skills actually will help you. I'll tell you why. You have people skills.
I would bet if we talked on the phone, you can hold a conversation, because that's the job of being a bartender. Like you talk to people every single day. And, so I think you're going to win that way because you have that skill. So I think you absolutely can do this. And if you like coding, you'll win eventually.
Definitely.
So if you've got a portfolio, send it to us and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah. Join the Discord and DM me. I'm at Doyle on there. So DM me your link too and we'll take a look. Take a look at those two.
Yep.
Cool.
John
wants to know, will we consider doing resume reviews?
We've never done that. We typically do portfolio reviews because we think it's more important.
Yeah, we do internal resume reviews for sure, because I
do that
all the time. Kelly's always sending me resumes. You're like, hey, take a look at this, and I was like, yeah. Like I look at a lot of resumes. I help students with a lot of resumes. I've done hundreds now of resume reviews. We do it definitely internally in the bootcamp. We haven't really done it externally.
Because we think that there's more important things for you to build as a portfolio, and we don't want you to think that, especially if you have no experience on that resume, it's not like it's worthless. It's just not like gonna move the needle at all. Like it is a requirement to have a LinkedIn profile and some kind of resume, okay? But what you want to do is like, I want to highlight my proof of work on my portfolio, and you want to push that to the forefront once you're talking to somebody. And let's forget about that resume. Let's forget about that. You can use a service to write it. There's a lot of things you can do to just write it. But like a portfolio to us moves the needle way more than a resume does, especially if you have no experience.
There you go. Well, what's a part-time coding job's a thing, or am I just better off freelancing?
I don't.
We don't.
Yeah, they're a thing.
We
but
don't see many.
Nah, it's like number one. Yeah, do freelancing. Just do freelancing if you can get your own gigs instead of part-time for some company, because usually it ends up being mostly full-time, and like it just doesn't work out. So I think that you can just make more money freelancing or a contract, than you can as a part-time coder. So, but if that's all you can get and someone offers you, hey, I got 20 hours a week, go do it. Treat it like a freelancing gig. See if you can add on to it. So having experience is way more important than not having experience. So like, yeah, if you can get that part-time, that's all you can get right now, then hey, go do that, put it on your resume, and just keep building that experience until, you get that sweet full-time gig that you're looking for.
Let's do the obligatory "Am I too old?" question from Josh. The answer is always no, Josh. Especially not at 27.
27.
Are you kidding me? Josh, get out of here. What are you talking
about?
Get
out of here. 27 years old.
You come here and insult us like this. No is the answer. Definitely not.
Yeah, I graduated college at 25. I mean, like, so, it's not too old. You can do whatever you want. At 27.
No, 27 isn't old. 37 isn't too old. 47 isn't too old. 57 might be too old.
No.
Nah. You might want to retire.
You got this.
This is I'm not sure I've seen this question before, but do companies pay for relocation costs?
They do. Sometimes.
Depends. Yeah.
Depends on the company. Doesn't hurt to ask. So yeah, sometimes they do.
Yeah. Almost like a signing bonus, isn't it? Some places.
Yeah. So, and so like if you're working through a recruiter, you can get the recruiter to ask, the question is here's the question that I want you to really, really think about. If you're breaking in for the very first time and you have to move states in the US, say you're going from, Kansas to North Carolina, all right? And you're single and you don't have a lot of roots in Kansas or whatever it is. And it's really not that much of effort. You just pack up a truck and move. And if they don't offer you a relocation bonus, are you going to turn that down? Right. That's what you need to ask yourself. Now, should you ask for it? 100%. If they say, no, we don't do that, do you turn it down? And that's what you need to decide whether you want to do. My advice is get the experience no matter how you can do it. Like if you have to literally, pack up the Honda Civic and put all your possessions in the back of the trunk, you do it and then you move. Now, if you have a house and you got 5 kids and all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit different complex situation where, okay, I got to sell a house and then move. So you have to work those things out. And typically, sometimes, depending on the level that you're interviewing at, relocation is offered. Juniors typically no, mids and seniors, yes. Just depends on who you are and what level you're doing. So just, think about this, Craig. If you're trying to break in, I need 1 year experience on my resume. I saw a tweet the other day. This girl said, hey, I just passed 1 year experience. And suddenly, this week specifically, I get 30 messages from recruiters. I'm like, I know. And she says, is that a thing? Is that a thing? I'm like, it's a thing. Yes. Because they're looking for a certain level and they don't want to have.
You've just moved up in their list, haven't you? You just moved into their 1 year experience bucket. Yeah.
The 5 year one's another one where you're constantly being offered jobs all the time. So, so I think get to 1 year experience no matter how you do it. But sometimes they do. It doesn't hurt to ask. But if they don't give it to you, don't get mad and go, man, they didn't do that. I'm not doing that. And you're sitting there without a dev job. Just take the job anyway. But try to ask. If you're working with a recruiter, they'll ask for you or they already know the answer to this based on the company.
There you go. I like this question. Because we'll be deadly honest about this question.
Okay.
Andres says, definitely want to do the boot camp. I come from finance, sales, and making 6 figures currently, but don't like what I do. How probable is it to land a 6-figure salary after the boot camp?
I'm going to say in the current environment, not probable.
Even the environment being the way that it's good right now. We're saying that it's at a peak right now. But it's not. You're if you were to give it a stat, it's a 1 in 50, 1 in 70, maybe 1 in 100.
It's not many.
It's not many. It's not likely as a junior to get a 6-figure salary straight out of the gate. Can it happen? Yeah.
It can happen. I mean, so you're going to have to bring something to the table and really move the needle in those interviews. You're going to have to interview exceptionally well to be able to do this. And now, okay, if you're living in San Francisco, maybe it's different. Maybe you live in New York, it's a little bit different. Yeah, assuming you're not in one of those 2 locations of the entire U.S., when we interview people in all the other cities, including Austin, Texas, and like that, it's coming in around 55 to 65 coming out of our boot camp. All right. Now, what does that look like 5 years from now? It's north of 100 for sure. If you're good at your job, you can see that Amazon, we're paying people $350. Wow. Okay. That's just different. So what you're signing up for, Andres, is a new job that you like. So you don't like the current sales job, I get that, but it's going to take you a number of years to get back equivalent to that. But then once you get there, man, you can exceed what you could have done as a salesperson. You can overcome that. You can lap it. You can become into tech management and all these other things because you know how to code. So I think there's a lot to the career of reasons why you would want to do it. But yeah, you can't look at it that way. If you're already making 100K, 120K, it's going to be really hard to match that coming out of the boot camp right away.
It is. Can you get there? Yes, you can, 100%. Can you go above what you're making now? Yes.
Yes, you can.
No question. But you've got to
Not
take a step back.
Months, though.
Exactly. You got to take a step back to take a step forward. You just have to know that going into it. If that involves like you saving up some extra money because of whatever it is to do it, do that.
Now, and if you come out of our boot camp, you're like, I told you, I got that job. I'm like, I'm gonna be your first cheerleader. Like, yes, someone did it. But like, I'm just honest with everybody, and so I don't blow sunshine up you and tell you that all these things are going to happen, and then you're disappointed when they don't. And it's not that we're underselling you; it's just that we're kind of like really honest. Like, this is what you need to think about, But we think the opportunity of the career outweighs the career that you hate. If you really hate being in finance and sales, and yes, you're earning six figures, eventually that dislike for the job is going to impact that pay anyway. Like, eventually you're going to like, man, I just don't want to make 60 calls this week. I don't want to do that. And so then your commissions go down, all that kind of stuff. And it's not that you're a slacker. You just don't like what you're doing. And it's really hard to do something you don't like to do. So like, whereas you can be passionate about coding and you can get that base level that they just pay you because they need you badly. So anyway, I hope that helps.
I have no idea why John's super chat didn't pop up. It's
okay, John.
I have no idea, man. John, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Come
taco money. Love it.
It is. Thank you. I have no idea why that didn't show up. Let me see.
Oh, okay, cool.
It didn't show up on the scoreboard either.
All right.
Don't know why.
It could be down the little interface.
Stream Elements might be having an issue that we use.
Yep.
Talk about this real quick just before we get out of here. Which tech city rank has the most affordable rent? Kernersville. And do you see more jobs for the Charlotte area or the Kernersville area? Kernersville, right? Tech capital of the world.
Yeah. So here I can break down I can break down the tech jobs really easily for you in North Carolina. I know a lot about the area. So the rent is crazy expensive in Charlotte. Okay. The Triad area, which is Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, Kernersville being in the direct middle of those. Kernersville is more like a suburban. It's very inexpensive. If you're especially in the rent, you can like get really nice apartments, under $1,000.
When I first moved here, I had a really nice apartment with like pool, like multi-bed. It was nice. It was a brand new, really nice apartment, and it was like it was top of the range, and I think it was like $1,000. And I'm like, it's insane nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. So then housing, you can just buy a house too. I mean, like there's other things. And so there's a lot of, it's very suburban here in Kernersville, the tech capital of the world. The reason we say that is because we're in between the Triad and like Foundry's here. So like, what else are you going to do? But like there's Caterpillar and there's Polo and it's kind of crazy. Like there's a lot of companies in and around Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point that you normally wouldn't think of. Then you move out to the Raleigh RDU area, which is Raleigh, the Triangle, that area, a little bit more expensive. That's the tech capital, or it's the actual capital of North Carolina. So like, it's definitely a sprawl. It's not a big city. It's a sprawl. But like inside of the Triad is the sweet spot between those two places where there's a lot of tech jobs. There's practically no traffic, and like it's really a great place to be. Yeah, you go to Charlotte, lots of traffic, higher rent, but there's probably a little bit more opportunity out there. Potential to get, you're going to make the same kind of money in all three of these locations because it's North Carolina. So like, if you're going to make 120 in Greensboro, you're going to definitely make 120 in Raleigh, and you're going to make 120 in Charlotte. Are you going to make 190 in Charlotte and only 120 in Greensboro? Absolutely not. I think all of the salaries are kind of the same, regardless of which of the three cities you live in. So like, the second thing in Kernersville is like, I have a 20-minute drive to Greensboro, 20-minute to Winston, 20-minute to High Point. And I am like 55 minutes out of Raleigh, 55 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes outside of Charlotte, assuming there's no traffic.
An hour and 10 to downtown. So we live in Kernersville. My wife technically works in Charlotte. Yeah, downtown Charlotte. So it's like when pre-pandemic, she was commuting. So she'll have to commute again at some point. So yeah, that's totally doable too.
Yeah, but then there's like things like Clemens and all these other cities that are in between these two areas that you could move to and live in, and then commute to Charlotte real easily and not live in downtown Charlotte. So however you want to do it. It's a really great place to be, in my opinion. We just got a supersonic jet place in Greensboro. That's coming too.
What's that?
Boom Sonic.
Oh yeah, the boom thing. Oh yeah, yes, I did see that. Yeah.
So Boom Sonic, and then like if you think about North Carolina in general, Boom Sonic, Honda Jet is in Greensboro. Then you have things like
FedEx has a big hub here too. Like Amazon has a big hub here as well. All the big
Amazon HQ1 is like down the street in Kernersville. It's kind of crazy. You go in there and like
it is like you go out. I go out to local Sheets and it's just filled with Amazon trucks.
Like it's just so like I'm coming to work and going to the Sheets and like it's so funny. Like go in there, there's like 40 trucks in there. They're all getting like. I guess they have to load up with all their drinks because they can't leave the truck for the rest of the day. You know, like and they're coming out with their case of Monster or whatever it is they're drinking. But because it's just literally just right down the street.
It is, so thank you very much. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Jack. And N15 says here the tacos are good value too. Tacos are good value.
Yeah, man. Okay, Abel's Grill here in Kernersville. Golly, those are good tacos.
You can't go wrong with tacos practically anywhere. Always good value.
Yeah.
Always good value. Cool.
All right, cool. We're glad you answered some questions. We'll see you on Thursday, man.
Yeah, we'll be back. Sorry if we didn't get to all your questions, by the way. There was a lot today. If we didn't get to it, come back Thursday. Make sure you get here early at noon. Throw them in the chat early, and we'll get to the ones that get in earlier, quicker. It's just easier that way. For everyone that asked a question, thank you so much, and we'll see you then.
All right. See you Thursday. Keep coding, guys. See you.
Bye.